introduce our National Broadcasting Symphony Orchestra, Carol Bertram. She plays all the instruments. Welcome to the Cedarville Story Hour. I will be your host for the next 35 minutes as we present an irreverent and somewhat fanciful look at the history of Cedarville. It is apparent the books were stacked against this tiny village from the very beginning. We begin in Freeport in 1837. 3 state commissioners from outside Stevenson County and a representative of Buckeye Township and Freeport were appointed to determine the location of the county seat of government. At one point, and so the story goes, the 2 men from Buckeye and Freeport were tied up in a Thursday night bingo game on Cedarville Road, and they could not attend a scheduled meeting, and so they sent their wives. The 2 women and the 1 commissioner met over tea and brownies. Let's listen to the conversation as it cuts through what might have been a smoke-filled room.
Well, ladies, you need to present your reasons why the county seat should be in your area. Ms. Buckeye, would you go first?
Well, Commissioner, our township's in the geographical center of the county, making it easy for all county residents to access. And I think we can find a 5-acre pasture nearby that could be used for county buildings. I don't think we would have any trouble moving that sick cow off the land I have in mind. But most important, we are in the center of the county, and having the county seat would be good for the area. We would grow and reach our potential.
Thank you, Ms. Buckeye. And now, Ms. Freeport, let's hear from you.
Well, granted, Buckeye Township is in the center of the county. Freeport doesn't contest that, and it would be easier for people to get there. But Freeport has more people, and we would give the county $6,500 to erect the buildings and the land to put them on.
Very nice, Ms. Freeport. Of course, Ms. Buckeye has a very strong argument in favor of that location. Do you have any other reasons why it should be in your city?
What do you mean?
Well, you know.
Know what?
Do I have to spell it out for you?
Gotcha. Tell you what I'm gonna do. We'll give you $6,500 and the land for the courthouse, and we'll throw in city lots down at the Pecatonica River for each one of the 3 commissioners.
Now, that's what I like to hear. It's a done deal.
How are the people?
Now, that's what I like to hear. It's a done deal, like you said, but how will the people of Orangeville, Dakota, Lena, and Winslow get to Freeport? It's a long way.
Well, I have a horse and carriage, and I'll rent it to them.
Oh, it's a long, long way from north in the county, but you'll make it easy with a horse and carriage. When the brand new courthouse comes to downtown Freeport, all the local businessmen will applaud and pay. On the way this was done should not be like this. The passing of cash shows something amiss, but then that's how it goes when you've got money. That's the way it goes when you've got cash. Well, Cedarville survived that little mess of 1837 only because so many new people were arriving to farm the rich land of Buckeye Township. But the incident was never forgotten, and it is sometimes discussed. Never, never, never in Freeport, and never in polite company. But now, let's move on to 1844, and an incident that appeared to signal a bright future for Cedarville.
Hi there, I'm John Adams, that's with a double D. And this is my bride, Sarah. She doesn't talk much, she's a strong, silent type. And anyway, I'm going to operate that mill down on the creek. Heard about it from Marcus Montelius, the guy that just built that new house north of the muddy intersection over here you call the village center. He's a smart guy, Montelius. I think the mill will be a good deal with an infusion of some cash and good management.
Welcome, stranger from the east. My name is Josiah Klingman. That's spelled Josiah. Klingman with a C, not a K. This is my wife, Mariah. That's Mariah, not Maria, Maria. We came here 7 years ago from Portsmouth, Ohio, and claimed 320 acres of land just north of the creek. Brought along my father, my brother, a number of cousins, a host of other friends and relatives, including the Richards and Wilcoxons. You'll soon meet them. Now, as a sign of welcome, let me offer you a glass of our local dandelion wine.
Thanks, but we don't apply. We're from a Quaker background. We're Presbyterians now, and I just believe in contributing to all religions. I think that's good religion and good business.
No, I wasn't sure of your beliefs or religion, but I wanted to be friendly. Actually, Mariah and I don't partake of the grape either, being staunch Methodists. Mariah is so staunch, she mixes up her pancake batter on Saturday night, so she won't have to do so on Sunday morning. And we have a son who likes to play the mouth organ, but mother makes him practice out behind the bar and wouldn't want to appear frivolous. Now, sir, when we be so old, what are your plans?
Oh, I got big plans. I'm going to enlarge that mill, bring a lot of jobs to this area. And I'm going to buy up all the land up Cedar Creek as it comes down from the north, because I want to control the supply of water from the mill pond. I'm going to build a big house, and a bank in Freeport. I'm going to become a politician, maybe a president. Coming through New Salem, we met a guy named Abe. I think it'd be a good leader for our country. And also, I'm going to give the village a library, land for new cemetery, and we're going to raise and educate our children.
But Mr. Adams, I noticed you don't have any children.
Well, yeah, and Sarah and I will have children. And I'm sure one of them will make a name in this world.
Anyway, you want to join me? You want to join me in this?
Ah, Josiah, would you join me? You know, I have some business, civic, and social endeavors planned, and I think if you join me, we could put this area on the map.
Yeah, like I'm gonna be 106 years old and live to be the oldest woman in Illinois. I in 1917. A little house on 280 Mill Street.
Something about that. She's not too well acquainted with the outside world, never having learned to read or write. But to answer your question, yes indeed I will join you, Ruth. And I might even be able to convince my father and my brother and some of those cousins and friends also to join you for a greater Buckeye. Mine eyes have seen the future of this little village spot. It will grow into a city if we do are really hot. Let's assemble now our forces in a mighty juggernaut and cheer on Buckeye King. Oh,
the coming of John Adams and his wife Sarah, the new future of Cedarville begins. A few years after the arrival of John and Sarah Adams, 1848 to be exact, Marcus Montelius, the surveyor, and George Ilgen, owner of much of the land south of the Adams Mill, met one afternoon for tea, coffee, or something at a small wayside inn near the middle of Stevenson County. Marcus was an unusual man with vast knowledge and an uncanny grasp of the future. Many people in Buckeye turned to him for advice and information. Some thought he could even see far into the future. After the usual social chit-chat and a sip or two, the conversation went like this.
So George, I haven't seen you for a while, but I understand you have some land that you're trying to sell to people to build houses.
Why, yes, Marcus. I believe this beautiful spot in the middle of the county would be an ideal place to live. Gentle hills, a creek, trees, and a guy who's doing a great job operating a mill. That gives people employment and a product they can use.
Well, that's a good idea, George, but you know, I'm a surveyor, and for a price, I'll be more than glad to lay out a subdivision for you.
Oh, what's a subdivision?
Well, a subdivision is a place along a street where people put houses. You lay them out side by side, kind of neighborly-like, don't you think? I'm a surveyor, and by George, I know my future.
Well, good. I'll name the street Mill after the flourishing business that's at the end of it, and after several houses are built, I will have a village.
That's great. Excellent idea. What are you going to call your village?
Well, I'll name it Harrison after one of our presidents.
I hate to disappoint you, George, but there is another Harrison not too very far away from here. And the government or the post office will let you duplicate the name. I want you to know that that can't happen very well. I'm very much familiar with the geography of the area, and it won't happen that way.
Oh, well then I'll name it Roosevelt.
Again, I'd hate to bring you the bad news, but this is the 1840s, and a fellow by the name of Teddy Roosevelt doesn't appear on the scene for another 60 years. So the problem is, believe me, I know my future history.
Well then, I'll name it after the cedar trees that are growing here.
Cedar trees. Well, really, those aren't cedar trees. Those are junipers, a close relative of the cedar. They're of the genus Cedrus. They're really native to the old world, but they do grow here. Believe me, I know my botany.
Whatever. Can you imagine naming a village Juniperburg or Juniperville? I want to name it Cedarville, and that's what we will call it.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. By the way, you're paying a bill, so you can name whatever you want to name.
And thus it came to pass.
Oh, Cedarville, how lovely are your junipers. Cedarville, dear Cedarville, your future will be prosperous. The people here work day and night. They never stop until it's right. Oh, Cedarville, your future will be prosperous.
And thus, from scrawny juniper trees did modern Cedarville emerge like a delicate butterfly. And and become the prosperous financial and business center that it is today. The 1840s passed into the 1850s, and the 1850s became the 1860s. The American Civil War boiled, and Stevenson County was caught up in its fervor, sending an estimated 70% of its eligible males into service with the Union Army. Many were killed, many more died of their wounds or disease. Many hundreds were wounded but recovered. On the site of the present telephone office on the east side of Mill Street stood the Peter Benetham Hotel and Tavern. Built by Jacob Latshaw in the 1850s, it unexplainably butted up against James Benson's General Store to the south. Listen to what Peter's daughter Agnes remembers from that time as recorded in her autobiography.
My daddy owned this tavern in Cedarville during the Civil War, and our family lived here at the same time. I can remember standing in front of the tavern on Mill Street and watching the local soldiers drill on the hill out by the brick school that was built in 1855. At one time, I was making a quilt in a frame. And when the soldiers came home on a furlough, they put some stitches in it. Johnny comes marching home, hurrah, give him a hearty welcome, hurrah, hurrah. The men will cheer, the boys will shout, the ladies they will dance, we'll all be there when Johnny comes marching home.
The population of Cedarville was strongly abolitionist and strongly pro-North, a mindset they would have had even without the urging of John Adams and his protege, Abe Lincoln. But there was at least one person who dissented. On a moonless night, an unidentified, masked man on a brown horse charged down Mill Street toward the Adams house and shot a hole in the flag strung between the Jackson Richard store and the Dr. Booker house.
He shot a hole between the stars of Michigan and Wisconsin. Lake Michigan will drain away. What shall I do? What shall I do?
Dr. Booker was quick to respond. Shouting from his house, he said, "I've got a few good used sutures that might help you."
No, that won't do. Marcus Montelish, where is he? He knows everything. What shall I do?
The ever-helpful Marcus Montelius rose to the occasion and said, "Drain Lake Michigan indeed. Silly woman. Charlotte, go to the hardware section of your husband's store and take a roll of duct tape and patch the tear. It will work, guaranteed. Believe me, I know my new commercial products, and this duct tape thing is all the rage today."
Thank you, Marcus. You're a flag saver.
The masked man escaped, and to this day, no one knows who he was. At least there's no epitaph on a monument in the Cedarville Cemetery claiming responsibility. Well, Cedarville's next day of potential riches came near the end of the Civil War. At least some people felt that way. John Rocky, Stevenson County pioneer, was walking sometime in 1864 in a pasture on his farm on Cedarville Road, just east of the village. It was a hot day, and he bent down to wash his face with water from the creek that ran through his land.
Gracious, this smells like Iraqi pure light crude oil. Here, check this out. We found oil. Let's dig a well.
That's a great idea.
How deep are you and what do you find?
200 feet.
Keep
In
digging.
rock.
Keep digging. Got to be there. We smelled it. How deep are you now and what do you find?
400 feet. And more rock.
Keep digging. How deep are you now and what do you find?
850 feet. And more rock.
Hey there, partners. What y'all doing? We're digging an oil well.
Oh, shucks, there's no oil down there.
Sure is. We smelled it.
Let me smell. No, sir. Smells like limestone rock to me. Let's test the well. I'm going to light a match, drop it down the hole, and see if it ignites any oil that might be down there. No oil.
No oil.
You don't need to look for any oil up here. This village generates enough hot air to spin a lot of windmills. You can use the power from them to run all your machinery like that.
What's a light bulb?
Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. I've been talking to Marcus Montilius recently, and yes, sir, men, invest in windmills and forget about oil.
Where do you hail from, stranger?
Well, I hail from Texas. I've been in oil, but now I'm thinking wind. And you can make $1 billion.
Now what is $1 billion?
Got a name for yourself, stranger?
Pickens. T. Boone Pickens. But I'm not real today. I'm only a figment of your imagination. Sorry, I gotta go find Marcus and see if he has any more tips for me. On the range, where the deer and the antelope play, where black gold still flows, and everyone knows $1 billion is coming my way.
Well, after the ill-fated oil drilling episode, Cedarville's hopes for prosperity faded for more than a decade. Then in the 1870s, John Henney arrived on the scene. Taking over his father's small buggy-making factory, the young man turned the business into a national success story. Success was sweet, but did he do it all by himself? You be the judge. Perhaps if you were able to listen to his 1868 proposal to the former Agnes Bentham, yes, the same girl who quilted for the Union troops, you might be able to form an opinion.
Let me call you Agnes. I'm in love with you. Daddy makes good cookies that are sound and true. Soon I'll own the business and I'll make it grow. You will
What a wonderful future for me. I guess Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation applied only to the slaves and not to women.
Well, the departure of Henny and his buggies, Cedarville fell into a blue funk. But there was a new glimmer of hope when the Phoenix bird flew over the village in the late 1880s, carrying stories of a new railroad line that was going to go north from Freeport to Wisconsin. There was joy. Yes, my friends, there was joy in Cedarville, with the expectation that Illinois Central would roll through the village and all would be well. Alas, some IC draftsman made a mistake and he drew the track route a few miles west of Cedarville, giving Scioto Mills, Red Oak, and Buena Vista their 15 minutes of glory as businesses and people left Cedarville for new golden fields. The village population dropped to about 200. The 19th century drew to a close, and Cedarville was happy to see it go. Perhaps the 20th would see the fulfillment of promises so long delayed. But first, there was World War I to contend with. Just as in the Civil War, the men of Stevenson County, including those from Cedarville, rose to the occasion and either volunteered or were drafted. After the war to end all wars, the country whooped it up during the 20s and then slid into the depressing Depression 30s. Life in Cedarville was no different than life in the rest of the country. Hard. But every once in a while, an incident would happen in the village that would give everyone, well, most everyone, a chuckle that would brighten an otherwise gloomy day. It was in 1936. But wait, let Bob Brackley, a friend of the late Leroy Wilson, tell the story as Leroy told it to him.
I was just a small boy in school when at recess some older boys were all excited and talked about a fire down at the old Adams farm down by the creek. Of course, it wasn't really the Adams farm, only the old mill that was down the road a little bit. It was rented out to some people from Chicago. So the fire was put out in a hurry, but when the inspector came to inspect the damage, the renters wouldn't let him in. So he got the sheriff and he opened up the doors and they found a 100,000-gallon still inside the mill. Can't have moonshine in Cedarville, so the sheriff opened up the valves and drained all the whiskey into Cedar Creek. 100,000 gallons. Killed all the fish for miles down there. The chickens, they went to go get a drink, took a swig, tilted their heads back, and fell on their backs. The pigs, they did the same thing. They drank, and oinked in harmony. What a hangover they must have had the next day.
It's only been pretend history anyway. We have reached the 1930s in the history of the world through Cedarville's eyes. The century has gone by in the little village. There have been good times, funny times and bad times, and we have survived them all. We don't want to delve into the rest of the 20th century because there are still too many people living who might disagree with our interpretation of events and those who participated in them. That would destroy the mood of the evening. The people of Cedarville are a happy lot. They are optimistic. They have to be to live here. So the cast would like to leave you with the Cedarville anthem. When you're smiling, keep on smiling. The whole world smiles with you. When you're laughing, the sun comes shining through. But when you're crying, you bring on the rain, so stop your sighing. Be happy again when you're smiling. When you're smiling, the whole world smiles with you. Cedarville, we're with you. Cedarville, chin up high, even if gold is high in the sky. Oh boy. Okay. Pretty good. 38 minutes. That was slower than yesterday. 37 yesterday. Anyway, I want to thank the 22 people, all members of the Historical Society who weren't afraid to look like idiots in front of me. It's not bad for only 2 rehearsals. Okay? They refuse to rehearse more than twice. Okay, the names of all the cast members are on the back of one of the sheets you got there. You can tell which particular scenes they were in. Now, out there, you paid your $5 to get in, so we give you free coffee, free lemonade, and free cookies and so forth. We also, if anyone didn't follow the entire script and so forth, we have copies of the complete script out there. It runs 16 to 15 pages with all the jokes and all the clubs and everything else in it. And if you want a copy, it's $5. This is a fundraiser. Okay. And also, we have, you saw the masked rider coming through. That was Neil Scheider, okay. That horse was made by, a lot of the woodworking was done by Darrell Baker from Cedarville, and the decorations, the painting done by Harlan Corey, who played Josiah. Klingman with a C, not a K. And Neil, I'm not sure, but Neil weighs well over 250 pounds. Now, that horse is pretty sway back. Okay? So we're going to auction off that horse in a secret auction. So out there, if you want to bid on that thing, there's a sheet of paper, you can fill out your name and so forth, put it in an envelope, lick it, we'll stamp it and all that sort of stuff. But I'll tell you right now, put your credit card down too. You've got a minimum bid is $50. $50. Okay, this is a high-class horse. Now, since it's been injured by Neil, if we don't sell that sucker, you put him out the pasture, we gotta shoot him. Okay? So anyway, it's out there. I hope you've enjoyed the evening. We had a lot of fun putting it on, and if we all survive, we may try something like this again.